in the 1400s, a Jew by the name of Moses de Leon in Spain claimed that he found an ancient manuscript which he called the Zohar, and he copied that manuscript and he published it and disseminated it. Now the Zohar, he attributed it to Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, the great Tana, the student of Rabbi Akiva, the one to whose grave at Meron every year on Lag BaOmer hundreds of thousands of Jews visit. Since the Zohar did not reach an audience, a public audience, until the 1400s, so it's obvious that in the 11th century, 12th century, 13th century would not appear in the customs of Ashkenaz because no one had the book. Now, so there are a number of ways to look at this. The first way to look at it is regarding the Zohar itself. Who wrote it? Is it accurate? Now, in our time, the Zohar is accepted almost universally as being a holy book. In fact, it's called the Zohar Kadosh, the Holy Zohar. Amongst the Sephardim, it's very, very popular. In fact, entire sections of the Zohar are committed to memory and are recited. And there are many that recite the whole part of the Zohar concerning the Parshat HaShavua, the Thursday night before Shabbat. All of that makes it acceptable. Amongst the Ashkenazim, so you have the, in the Hasidic world, the Zohar is also sacrosanct. It's accepted, and much of Hasidus, the ideas of Hasidus are based upon statements in the Zohar. However, and there is a big however, there's another opinion. Rabbi Yaakov Emden, the great scholar, the 1700s in Hamburg, and he owned a printing press. He produced many, many great works. A very, very controversial figure. He was engaged all of his life in trying to straighten out the world. And the world always pushed back. He writes, Kemat ein li sofek bedover. I have no doubt regarding the Zohar that it's not authentic. Gam yesh leida sheichnisu besocho dvorim harbe. They introduced into the Zohar many things that even if Reb Shimon ben Yochai had such a sefer, the sefer that we have is not that sefer. Rak hagos acharonim od. Later people, everybody added to it. The printers added to it. The copyists added to it. Ve'hem robu kamo robu, and it became more and more and more. I can prove it to you, he says. It is the fault of the copyists and the printers. And therefore I wrote a book about it called Mitpachas Sfarim. In his book, Mitpachas Sfarim, which is devoted to this topic. So he says, there are ideas of Reb Shimon ben Yochai in the Zohar, but the Zohar itself is not from Reb Shimon ben Yochai in the way that we have it. and therefore it's, so to speak, not really authentic. He's not alone in this. Others also claimed that the Zohar was not what we claim it to be. The great defender of the Zohar was the Chidah, Reb Chaim Yosef David Hazulai, also in the 1700s, who practically accused Reb Yaakov Emden of heresy in stating that the Zohar is not authentic. And he says everybody uses it, and all the great rabbis, and the whole Kabbalah is based on it. How could you say it's not? However, the Chassam Sofer, Moshe Sofer, rose in defense of Yaakov Emden in the 1800s. And he said, Hine nimtza sefer mitpachas svorim l'Rav Yaakov ben Tzvi Emden. We have this book, Mitpachas Svorim to Rav Yaakov Emden. Timtza shom ki dover godol diber anovi. What he says is true, it's prophecy. And therefore he said, the Chassam Sofer said, Ilu hoyo yecholes biad odom lahamid midroshe Reb Shimon ben Yochai al taroson. If we could sift the book and keep only the words and ideas of Reb Shimon ben Yochai that appear there, levari mehem ma shenischaber aleim mechachmei ador she'acharov, to be able to clear out what later people wrote about it, lo yiyeh kulo rak sefer koten akamus mod. Be a very, very thin book, he said. The Zohar is a very big book. Very thin book. Machzik dapim uotim. It have only a few pages. Chassam Sofer. The Talmud of the Noda B'Yehuda, of Rabbi Yecheskel Halevi Landau, Rabbi Elazar Falakish, so he wrote a Sefer Tshuva Me'ava, very famous Sefer. And he says, he says it most strongly of all, Hareini nishba b'Torah Hashem. I swear by God, by the Torah, sheSefer HaZohar nimtzo kamo ziyufim. It's a forgery. V'kilkulim asher osifu. And all sorts of things that were added. Lav migush b'nei Reb Shimon ben Yochai zaktiya. It never came from Reb Shimon ben Yochai. And mi sheyesh lo chatzi das yoid kain. Someone who has a little seichel will understand that that can't be from Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Sherei niskru b'sefer HaZohar kama tanoim v'amoroim shoyu achar Reb Shimon ben Yochai. Because people are listed there who lived way after the time of Reb Shimon ben Yochai. And then he says there are entire pieces of Rashi that are in there, and pieces of Tosfos that are in there. So he says the whole thing was put together. There's an interesting point that has to be said also. But the wife of Moshe de Leon said that he wrote it. So it's always good to have a wife that supports you and is on your side.